Good morning, Taipei! And all of these beautiful plants. Oh, I love being up here on a rooftop garden. I just can't believe that this is the middle of a huge city. No mouse sightings just yet, but I think Bird will be back later. I can't believe Boss stayed so late last night and she ate all of her food, so I put out some fresh kitty cat food and we'll see if either Boss up in her spot, Nova Lady, who tends to roam all over the patio, or Bird comes back to spend time with me this afternoon. A nice and easy breakfast today. Peanut butter and jelly sandwich with this amazing sweetbread, some more orange juice, peach tea, and lots of tap-tap carrots, as Trips and I call it. I've got so much going on in my little Sims free play world, and I finally figured out how to actually record it so that I can start sharing some of this with you guys. Guys, look, it's Bird! Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful! I can't even... Okay, I'm gonna have to take some deep breaths, but I don't know if Jewel meant for me to see that because she said that that is actually a practice thing, but I saw that on Instagram just now and just started jumping all around my room. This is so beautiful. Jewel is actually one of the artists that I'm going to be hopefully working with in the future to get some merch for our little Etsy shop up and going, so preview some of her fantastic designs. Oh my gosh. This is just, the colors. I love it. Bird, you've got more fan art. All right, so today is going to be my first official work day, and I'm a little bit nervous about that because it's so easy to psych myself out of the work I do. I don't know if that happens to a lot of you guys too, but I definitely tend to procrastinate, not because I am like my beloved Chips and I am a natural procrastinator. Actually, once I get going, I love productivity. I am a productivity to-do list checker offer addict. I love being able to get things done. I want to pull my little tablet over to me in just a second and pull up its gorgeous little to-do list that I have in my little notes section. But I tend to psych myself out and really wait and go, everything has to be perfect. Like, I didn't eat breakfast this morning until I cleaned almost the entire apartment, and I had to have my tea, my orange juice, sparkling water, normal water, like ridiculous. I had to get dressed, I had to pick out the jewelry I was going to wear for the day. I had to like make everything tidy before I let myself eat breakfast, which is ridiculous because my blood sugar was like, help me, and I was almost crawling on the ground by the time I was done. But that just is like my way of procrastinating, is that I feel like everything has to be perfect, and so I get really nervous and I have to like go through everything and I have to prepare and I overthink it. That's what it is. I am an overthinker procrastinator versus a I want to nap more procrastinator, like my beloved Chips. And once I get over the overthinking, which I think stems from having not a lot of confidence, or how do I put this? I have a lot of confidence in what I do now, even though sometimes I'll get like really weird messages. Like last night I got a message from a long-term viewer who's like, your stuff's really boring now. And I was like, hi! Where did this come from? It's nice to see you again, I guess. So that was really interesting, and that can make you feel like, holy days, if I was who I was maybe 3 or 4 years ago, that would have crushed me. I would have been like, okay, this person's been around for a long time, they're saying this, and you really, it hurts quite a bit when you're a younger YouTuber, and I mean younger in terms of the number of years you've been doing it, I think. Though maybe it's like the same if you don't grow. I guess what I should say is like there's skill levels in your self-confidence. And if someone had told me that self-confidence is a skill, it's not something innate, my life might be really different, but I've skilled up my self-confidence over the years. So when someone told me that last night, I didn't really get that thrown off for long. It was startling and out of the blue at like 10 p.m. and I was like, what? Hi, you're one of the few people who have this like very personal secret access to me, and I haven't spoken to you in years, and then you just pop up and say this. So that was surprising, and at first I was like, should I take this really deeply? Should I really obsess about what they said? Should I reanalyze how I make all of my content? Should I follow that twirly little line of thinking that spirals you into a pit of no self-confidence. And after I kind of thought about it for a little while, I realized I may not be always 110% happy with the outcome of what I create, but I know that I give it my best, and I know that I do what I do to have this unique balance that being me as a YouTuber is, between trying to juggle series that are super popular, like Wolf Quest, which has like 24,000 views on that first episode. What? Like, what? Okay. Whew. Well, we'll continue on with that, that's for sure. But I think everybody knows that it's not one of my heart series. It's something I put a lot of work into. It's something that I'm pretty confident about doing because I've gotten used to it. 300 times of doing something will build up some level of confidence if you're at least putting some effort in after all. But like, I balance out those kinds of things with the things that do fill my heart up really well, like zoo crafting, Story of Seasons, my Sims stuff. I haven't been able to dabble in those enough lately, but that's kind of where I'm at as a YouTuber, and figuring out how to manage it so that it is my career, it is my livelihood, it is the way that I am taking care of 3 families right now. I am monitoring over all of these like real people in my life with their stories that I have to keep private, but I am the one who's like gathering frantically the resources generated from my channel and distributing them across multiple people to sustain them and take care of them and take some of the burdens off their shoulders. And as a YouTuber, that means I have a very interesting balance that I have to sustain. And one of the things that I'm really grateful for is that over the years I've developed a lot of confidence in that balance of being able not to rip myself apart as an artist and go, I don't know if my heart and soul is in this episode of Horsehaven, but it's really popular. And how do I explain it? Because it sounds like a sellout sort of conversation now, but that's not what I'm saying. I have confidence that I'm able to approach the subjects that may normally not inspire me to the depths of my soul like some things do, and be able to present them in a way that in the end I'm pretty confident with. If not 110% happy, like I created some masterpiece, like I feel about some specific episodes of Warrior Cats, then at least confident in my skill level that I did a good job with it. And I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm procrastinating, that's probably what it is. But I just feel like when I woke up this morning, I was like, I've got to tell everybody that confidence is so important in what you create, and that it's built up over time. It's a skill, it's not something innate, because I would still describe myself as somebody who very much lacks self-confidence. And that's not like to put myself down. It's so that when I do freak out, when I do go like, oh, am I good enough? Like right now, I have an emotional hurdle in my heart, in my chest. It's sitting in my stomach on top of that peanut butter and jelly sandwich I just ate. And it's going, you've got all these things to record because today is your first official day of work and you're so nervous about it. And that little thing is sitting as a hurdle inside of my stomach right now. And I have to jump over it. And the way you jump over it is kind of like a dual prong approach of confidence and then just doing it. So confidence and not procrastinating anymore. And the confidence is what helps you get the motivation to make that jump. And if I don't acknowledge that that hurdle is there because of my lack of self-confidence, it's like it makes your legs shorter, so it makes you like look at the hurdle with even more like, how do I jump over this? How do I get over this emotional hurdle and just get to work? I know I can do it if I get to the other side, but how do I make the jump? And when you don't have a lot of self-confidence, your legs are so much shorter than everybody else's around you, and they're all just walking over it like a speed bump, not even noticing it's there, and you're staring at it like it's a 10-foot hedge fence that you have to jump over. And self-confidence. Where am I trying to go with this? Other than procrastinating and actually getting work done. I guess what I'm saying is, when I say I know I lack self-confidence, I'm not trying to sell myself short. I'm trying to give myself permission to go, oh, it's not you, it's not your work, it's not the quality of your work, it's just that this is a trait you have. You lack self-confidence. Your legs are shorter than everybody else's, but you can do work to get a running start and jump over that hurdle and end up on the other side. I know I can, because I've showed up again and again and again. Self-confidence really can be built through just doing things repeatedly, consistently, and just trying a tiny bit more every time to get better at it. I have over 5,000 videos on my main channel. Not very many people do. Not very many people ever have to be able to be superiorly successful than I am on YouTube, to be able to make it into like the dream livelihood versus I can pay my bills and buy groceries, which is really my happy standard right now. And it's just though, if you also are somebody with short self-confident legs and you're like me and you have to get something done, and it's not that you want to lay around and just watch Netflix, or for the record, we don't even have Netflix, so I'm stretching a little bit. I'm trying to relate, to be relatable to other people, or just nap more. If you procrastinate because you're like a horse that's really scared of that hurdle. I'm like the little miniature pony compared to all the stallions around me, and I've got to jump the same hurdle. And if you're like that, then I hope that just this weird ramble, I'm telling you guys to just try it and just do it and get up and do it again and get up and do it again, and know that if you focus on the repetition and if you focus on doing the actions, that's probably going to build your self-confidence and give you that running start far more than if you create something and then people pat you on the back and go, good job, I really liked it. That's awesome, but I can say as somebody who's made over 5,113 YouTube videos now, and that's just on the main channel, there's another 250 on the vlog channel. I can say as somebody who's done that many times of jumping the hurdle, of making a video, of putting it out for the whole world to see, that the comments and the support and the kindness mean so much to you, but they don't build your self-confidence in the way that just doing it will. And I wonder how many other art things out there are like that. And so I don't know how I got here. I got here because I have to do my work today, and I'm excited to do my work today. I need to be happy to do my work today. And that's the other thing I wanted to say. If you also are facing that hurdle and you have to jump over it and you need the confidence and the motivation to, then I find that if I treat what I create as a burden or as a job or as a task, then it's going to be frustrating all around. It's going to be frustrating in the creation, in the post editing. It's going to be frustrating with the feeling afterward of being done, no satisfaction. But how do I have that balance that I talked about earlier, where I do things that may not entirely have my heart, but I try to do them very well so that I'm happy with them afterward? I look for the happy thing in them. I'm able to play Horsehaven and have a great time because I focus on the things that I enjoy in it. I am able to play Wolf Quest and have a good time because I focus on the things I enjoy about it, which is actually the polls and being able to integrate the community into the story. I'm able to play, what's some other examples? I've really done a good job of paring out things that I'm not super into anymore. And I don't ever want to say you have to force yourself through something, just some things are really popular. And they may be like Wolf Quest, bless its heart, 300 episodes of the same 2 levels. I think it's reasonable that I have come up with so many exterior factors to make the game interesting for myself at this point. But especially because I know where the spawn spots are. I know I could probably tear that game apart on a code level at this point. But what I'm trying to say there is I look for the happy thing in it. And that's the better place to go when you're thinking about the jump. It's not only about like how to build up your self-confidence, your motivation to make the jump, but it's also about looking for the happy thing within it, with something you've got to do. I actually did that before YouTube with work. I would focus on the one thing I enjoyed about my job. When I worked at a pet store, I focused on the fact that I loved looking at all of the cute little hamster toys that we would get in. And I would straighten them up and imagine what it would be like if somebody took home this hamster toy for their hamster hamster. Little tiny things like that. Some days I would go in and focus on learning all of the new fish species that we had gotten in. On some days I would focus on going through the dog food aisle, and while I was straightening the dog food and tidying it up, I would think about like where this can of like sweet potato and quail would go to, and I would daydream about this like tiny little spoiled dog with a really awesome owner. Those kinds of tiny little things where I would just find that itty bitty little glimmer of happiness in the most mundane work, or the things that maybe I wasn't the most excited to do, really helped me. And that's where I am at today. And I have rambled enough, so I need to stop. I'm probably gonna have to clip out some of my ramble because it's just so silly. But maybe it helps some of you, because I feel better now. I'm reminded that yes, innately, my legs are shorter than everybody else's, both literally and figuratively, especially when it comes to self-confidence. Self-confidence is built through doing. And the way to get to the point of being able to jump the hurdle is by looking for that glimmer of happiness, that one tiny little thing you can kind of fixate on and plant like a seed in your heart and then just grow. And it doesn't matter how silly it is. How many other employees there do you think were daydreaming about like, oh, I wonder what kind of hamster is going to have this adorable little vegetable chew to take home? But it got me through the day with a smile, and that gave me better work, better results, by being able to find that tiny little seed, no matter how silly it was. So to jump the hurdle, jumping the hurdle builds self-confidence. To jump the hurdle, it's important to remember that it's okay if you're nervous. It's okay if you innately have shorter legs and you're gonna have to do a little bit more of a running start to get going. And then also find that seed of happiness, and that builds up your motivation. And honestly, as amazing as it is, don't let the other exterior factors, the pats on the back, the cool comments, all of that, the amount of views that something gets afterward, don't let that factor in too much, because it just won't help you. It's like somebody else trying to push you up over that hurdle, and they won't always be there. And sometimes you'll be at new hurdles with new series or new creations you're trying to do, new work you're trying to do, that people might not be very sure of, and you're not gonna have that push exteriorly. You have to do it yourself. So that's my ramble advice, and I'm gonna stop procrastinating, but I feel pretty good about it now. I was really nervous when we started talking, but I remember now. I just need to sit down. And sometimes also another secret factor is if you think about all the exterior things, like the comments and the reactions that other people are going to have to the work, you can totally freeze up. You can freeze up like my aircon that I need to go take care of now, and be too nervous to keep moving. And that's happened to me again and again and again. So maybe this ramble was just for me to organize my thoughts. Zoo crafting has been lost time and time again. Warrior cats has been lost time and time again, despite how much I love them, because I would get too nervous to keep going, because I would think about how people would react, and I 100% forgot to think about the motivation to jump the hurdle, that little seed of happiness. So I hope that helped some of you guys, because I know I am a productivity addict, and when I get shy like this and have trouble moving forward and jumping the hurdles and completing the tasks that I want to do, everything just feels like you start slipping under, and I don't want that. So I'm gonna get a running start, and I will see you guys in just a bit. Yay! Chips brought home some lunch. That's so much fun. So he's popped over for lunch, and he brought me back some food too from one of the buffets nearby. And look, there's more mushrooms, more of those delicious wood ear mushrooms, and green beans, which are some of my favorite. Tofu skin, some delicious rice. This is perfect to fuel up and try to get lots more recording done for the day. Once again, all of these green vegetables, absolutely delicious. If I knew how to cook these back home so they tasted like this, not drenched in butter, not overflowing with all sorts of sauces, just their natural delicious flavor brought out, I would eat so many more greens, because I really love eating greens, but they're never really cooked very yummy over in the United States. And here they're just simple and just a tiny bit of flavoring added to them, and they taste amazing. Maybe it's just the fact that you're in a new place, so you feel like it should be something delicious and different, but it kind of really makes me want to try a lot harder to cook bok choy and to cook some of the chards and the greens that we have back at home. But normally, you know, you try once and you're like, ah, this is so chewy, ah, it's so bitter, and then you never try again. But I think I'm gonna really resolve myself to trying to make some really yummy greens, because eating a big giant pile of greens like this with some rice in the middle of the day is just so delicious. Guys, look at this. Earlier today we had some more bird fan art, and now look at this. There's Noble Lady fan art. How amazing is this? I'm so excited. I cannot wait to share it over on the main channel. This is just completely awesome. Thank you so much for making this and sharing it with us, Avenel. This is just fantastic. I found it in my fan mail Gmail just a second ago while I am processing the very first Subnautica episode. That was so much fun. That was so much fun, and I was so nervous, like I was mentioning this morning, with jumping over those hurdles that were keeping me around to procrastinating. Whenever I start a new series, it is so hard. I try never to start more than one new series a day, even though I'm staring at an entire pile of backlogged summer and space episodes that I hope to have out for you guys tomorrow, which would actually be like my evening. And it's always so nerve-wracking to start a new series because you don't really know how it is, you don't know what the tone of it's going to be yet, you don't know what your tone and flow is going to be for it yet. Secretly, I actually love recording ahead because I hit my stride about 3 episodes into something. When I am recording 3 episodes in a row, by the 3rd episode, I'm really in a good flow. And that's why I love batch recording, and not because you also have the reassurance of a schedule being done, but I always see the quality of what I do shoot through the roof once I hit 3 episodes in a row. But having to start and stop, start and stop, start and stop really kind of messes me up with being able to get things done and having progression and good flow in my episodes. But enough of that rambling. I had no idea Subnautica was so beautiful. I had no idea. It was so pretty, and I had so much fun recording the first episode. I'm actually processing it now. I need to go through the motions of making a really quick thumbnail for it. I sent out some commission requests. We'll have to see if our wonderful Arctic Eric is our wonderful artist Eric is available to do them or not. If not, I'll figure something out. But we use his work for so many of our thumbnail overlays, and I thought it'd be fun to see if he could pull this one off too. But I'm going to put together a thumbnail and see how long on average it would take a Subnautica episode to upload, but I think I want to dive back in. This is so cool. It's so much fun to start a new adventure and find that seed of happiness like I was talking about earlier, and just keep moving and just keep that fun creative momentum and flow going. It feels so good. And I think I've mentioned in some previous like vlogs when I ramble that sometimes people will be really upset when they find out a lot of Let's Players will record things ahead and then release them on a schedule, which they could have recorded like theoretically months ahead of time before you see an episode. And there's some people who are really mad about that, and I kind of understand the idea of like wanting to make sure that your suggestions, your names for creatures, that your helpful tips and everything get through to someone and not see them make the same mistakes. I understand you also want to feel like you're right there with every step of the adventure, but it's kind of like any creative flow. When you get into the flow, what you create at that moment while you're in it is sometimes always so much better than when you have to start and stop on some sort of schedule. And I think that's one of the perks and the struggles with creative work. But I'm rambling now. I'm actually feeling that momentum. I jumped the hurdle. I'm having a good time, and I'm going to continue on with the Subnautica. But it was so funny because I was like keeping an eye out on the weather. I was like, okay, looks like I might be able to get some work done. And I got like 12 minutes into recording the episode, and then lightning and thunder and storm came out of nowhere. 2 p.m. every day at about 2 p.m. here, without fail, it starts pouring rain. So I'm just gonna plan for that tomorrow, but I hope it will just like smoothly fit into the background sounds of the Subnautica episode. Otherwise, that's gonna be a little bit awkward. But thankfully, we're having like ships explode and we're swimming in water, so maybe the gentle sound of rain and the loud booms of thunder will just seem like a natural part of the episode. We'll have to see. But I'm gonna have some more fun with that and just slip into the flow of recording and see how it uploads and how things go, and then maybe I can finally get ahead enough I can have a bit of a breather and sit down and have a chat with you guys about Taiwan and not just work. So that would be really fun too.